So that's 20, 21 years of my entire, that just took me way too long to calculate. Self-recognition and self-healing and self-trust and self-worth. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here as a final result of this. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rich Artist Fridays. My name is Sophie. Thank you for being in here with me. Hello to everybody in Instagram Live. Thanks for tuning in. We've made it to another end of the week. Like, holy guacamole. Today is our 39th week of Rich Artist Fridays, which means that next week is our 40th week of doing Rich Artist Friday classes, which just blows my mind. We figured out last week that once we hit 52 weeks, it's going to be a whole year, and we're going to do like a special session, maybe like a 1 hour special or something like that. Also, next week is the last Rich Artist Friday of this year. After that, I go on holiday, and I know you guys probably also will be going on holiday. And it's also the 40th week. So next week we have a special session before we get into what we are doing today. Next week is a special session where I'm going to be live reviewing 2 of your guys' portfolios. So if you're interested in having me take a look at either your website or a PDF of some of your work samples and giving some feedback and some constructive criticism and maybe some tips, or maybe, just, what I see, what I perceive, what stands out to me from your work. So if you're interested in that, then grab a ticket for the actual Zoom live. That's always on my Eventbrite for you guys here in the Instagram live. That's in my bio. And if you're in here already, then just via the same link that you bought this free ticket for this Rich Artist Friday, you can grab one for next week, and I'll probably slide into your DMs, or you'll get an email from me asking if you want to participate in the portfolio review. I think that would be super, super fun. And yeah, we did a bunch of portfolio reviews in the 8-week class that we did over the course of the summer, and that was so much fun. If you already have a website up, I love giving feedback on layouts and tips in how you can make your work really shine and sort of present it in a way that is also commercially viable if you're looking to attract clients that you might want to work with, and like some tips of how to really make the most impact in that. Sorry guys, I don't even know why I'm stuttering today. It's been a long, hectic week. I don't know how you guys are feeling today, but I've definitely been a little stressed out. The state of the world is just absolute chaos right now. So if you're feeling that today as well, I'm with you. But even more so am I happy that we have this little safe haven here once a week to come together, to have an exchange, to share our hurdles, our struggles, our dreams, our hopes, our ambitions, our inspirations with one another. That's why I founded the Rich Artist Friday. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for tuning in every week. It means the world to me to get to have an exchange with you guys and to see you guys saying hi to me and to answer your questions. And speaking of questions, last week I got a question on my Instagram where somebody asked me, like I was talking about having a clear vision of your dream career and holding true to that vision, and like being hyper fixated on what does that look like? Who am I if I am living my dream career? And this person asked, like, can you elaborate more on that? Like, how do you do that? Can you dive a little bit more into that? So then I was thinking about, what does it take to build your dream career? And what are the things that, from a mentality point of view, I found have gotten me to so many of the goals that I have reached so far? And like, what does it take mentality wise and attitude wise in order to be truly successful? Because I know we've done so many weeks of talking about, the technicalities of it, or also the like, my experiences of entering the industry and all the things that I learned from the people that trained me, and all of these crazy stories of the things that I experienced, in these crazy, not normal rooms where artist professionals all come together and work at such a high level of their career. But every once in a while, if you know me or if you've been around for a while, you know we talk about sort of the mental aspects and the emotional aspects of being a freelance artist as well, because I think it goes hand in hand. And if you're a freelance artist, then I'm sure you can relate to this and you know this too, where there's so many days where it's really not a tactical challenge, it's a mental game. It's a mental game of how do you choose to believe in yourself every single day? How do you choose to show up for yourself and what you dream of day in, day out? What sort of mental strength is required to keep hacking away at your dreams and to not let setbacks or disappointments or letdowns um, set you back or get you off track? And I know we all do occasionally, but what is it that keeps us coming back every single time? Because if you're still here, hi, thanks for saying hi. If you're still here, then that's probably what you're doing, I'm guessing. um, what what does it take to live your dream career? Because we all know that, you know, if we were just in it for making a living, there's probably a lot easier employee positions that any of us could choose to dedicate a large chunk of our lifetime and life energy towards in order to have a stable, comfortable life and to support the lifestyle that we want. So what is it that, you know, we're willing to put ourselves through and challenge ourselves with again and again for the sake of what we dream of, right? And I think that is such a complex question because each and every one of our careers is so uniquely individual to who we are as people and who we are as artists, who we are as business people, who we are as entrepreneurs, who we are as networkers, who we are as team leaders as well as team players. I had I almost said therapy session. I had a coaching session. It really is sometimes. It is like therapy session. I had a coaching session last week where I was saying to my coachee, like, why do you think that you have to be able to fulfill every other person's job on your team or have done each of these people's jobs before you allow yourself to take on a lead role in the career that you want for yourself? Because she was sort of keeping herself small, holding herself back from trying to go after those sort of lead role positions of larger productions in terms of photography because, well, I don't really know why, you know, but I was saying to her, in order to have the career that you described to me that you want, the opportunities that you want to be experiencing, those opportunities come with a natural leading role position. And you have to give yourself the grace and the permission to take on a position where there are going to be a lot of things that you don't know anything about yet. There's going to be so many areas in your career and in your position that you have yet to gain experiences in, that you still have to learn how to navigate. And yet somehow you're not allowing yourself to making these experiences because why? Because sometimes we think that we're not ready yet, that we're not worthy of that yet, that we would be asking for too much, or that we would be taking up too much space if we allow ourselves to say, you know what, I don't yet know how to have the career of a photographer that leads a crew of 5 assistants. And because of that, I'm not even going to try yet. That is such a like death cycle in a sense where like you have to value yourself enough and you have to have enough self-trust in order to say, I can step into a new position, I can step into a new opportunity and trust that even if I don't know everything yet, I will do the best job to the best of my capabilities. Let me know if you guys can relate to this or if you ever feel like this, because I definitely have before in my career as well. But at the end of the day, if you are a photographer and you dream of a really successful career, whatever that looks like to you, whether it's high-end paying private clients or working with big brands that you always wanted to shoot for, shooting billboards, shooting global campaigns, whatever it is, shooting amazing creative editorials for magazines, whatever your vision looks like, are you willing to allow yourself to be the person that you have to be in order to actually be living that career? I know it's not that simple to just walk around like you already are this person, but it is a fundamental step in embodying somebody that is qualified and trusts themselves enough to even be given those sort of opportunities that then give you the experience that you need to grow into this person that you want to be and this career that you do want to be living. Let me know if I'm like spinning in circles here, but does this make sense to anybody else? When I was thinking about what to talk about this week, I was thinking, what is it truly that led me to all of the successes that I have experienced in my career so far? And when I truly think about it, the foundation of me getting to where I am right now and where I want to go, from here on out was that I always had a vision of what that life would look like, what those experiences would look like. But beyond that, I always, like, it wasn't just that I pictured it as this like thing separate of me. A part of me already saw myself in those situations. And whenever I thought about my dreams, they came along with the emotional world of who I would be if I was given these opportunities. And I knew that if I can sort of emotionally experience these things before they were even in my reality, then I knew that a part of me, there was already something inside me that was this person, that was capable of that vision. So the question really is, can you find that version of yourself within yourself, that little part of yourself that already knows that you can do it, that is already ready? No matter whether some of your big dream opportunities come tomorrow or in 3 years from now, can you recognize a part within yourself that already is this person? Because if you can't, you're always going to find excuses as to why you're not going to attract these things into your life, or whether it comes in form of self-sabotage. I recently heard this phrase that was like, self-sabotage is misguided self-love, because no matter how much we sabotage ourselves, we subconsciously find aid in this self-sabotage. We find it serves us there, it serves us in a way to keep us in our comfort zone. Or if we sort of have subconsciously have this belief that oh, my vision is I can envision it, but it is something that is separate from who I am as a person, or I feel like I need to be a completely different person if I were to live my dream career, then in reality, and with all of the actions that you take within your own business, you're always going to find ways to sort of circumnavigate the actual aligned action steps that would bring in these opportunities. And this might sound a little woo-woo to some of you guys, but from so many years of experience of me following this vision that I've always had for my own dream life. And guys, I started envisioning a life as a successful fashion and beauty photographer at the age of 7 years old. So that's 21 years of my entire, that just took me way too long to calculate. 21 years of having this voice inside myself that said, I think you are this person. You don't know anything yet of how to get there. You don't know any of the tactics. You haven't made any of the experiences that you will need along the way. But it started with me recognizing that I think I was born capable of this life. And in the moments where I struggle the most, where I'm faced with the biggest hurdles, where I am the most exhausted, when I have worked so many hours and weeks and months at something and still am not seeing the results that I was aiming for, or I lose an opportunity that I wanted more than anything else in my entire life, that vision is still there. And I still feel like it is who I am, even though I haven't lived it yet. So the option of just abandoning that dream for myself altogether is never is never it's never big enough. The disappointment or the discouragement or the exhaustion has never been big enough to rival the way I feel when I think about what I feel I'm capable of. And that comes along with a certain degree of self-recognition and self-healing and self-trust and self-worth. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here as a final result of this. And I'm not talking to you guys as somebody that has figured all of this out and is at the end of that journey, because I don't think we ever are. But I really, really find it important to have this conversation with you guys, because it is so important that you are here. It is so important that you guys remember this, because I know that if you are choosing to be an artist in your life and you are dedicating your life to this and you burn for what you do and what you want to tell the world and show the world and share with the world and create with other artists in this world, then you can probably relate to this voice inside yourself. You can probably relate to this feeling. But it is so easy to forget that every once in a while. I do too. But it's the foundation of where I draw the most energy out of in order to keep going, even when I feel like nothing is going my way, nothing is working out for me, or when I am questioning whether I'm being completely naive of pouring myself into this dream day in, day out. Because if you're just looking to the successes and the heights and the highlights of what you're doing and the rewards that you are wreaking from the hard work that you're putting in, that stuff comes and goes in waves all the time, no matter how successful you get. And if you're waiting for those highs to motivate you to keep going and to keep pouring into the work that is necessary to get you to where you want to go, it's going to be so insanely hard for you. Better to look at the little things that you implement every single day, or the little successes of you showing up every day, new, in a new way, to draw your utmost self-confidence and self-worth out of, because that is something that is so sustainable. It is something that, you know, I don't know if you can relate to this, but you can equate it to faith in a sense. I know I've given this metaphor before, but do you know this story of two people are told that there might be gold somewhere buried deep down below them, and they both start digging, and the first person digs down, and then gets a little exhausted and thinks, I don't know if there's gold at the bottom of this for me. I have so much doubt. Maybe better um to maybe I should try somewhere else. So they stop digging, they go somewhere else, they start digging again. And then doubt sets in again, and they let the doubt get the better of themselves, and they go and dig somewhere else. And they never really make it past a certain amount of depth of digging. And the other person starts digging and doesn't know, there's no proof that there's gold at the bottom of them of this for them. But they're like, I have to have faith that if I just keep going, there will be gold eventually. And they just keep digging, and they keep digging, and they keep digging, and the doubts get louder and louder and louder, but they know that they can't give up. They know that they can't stop. Only one of those two people has a fair chance of hitting gold eventually, and it's the second person. I hope that you know, that is really what is the closest you can get to a guarantee of seeing results eventually, and of even getting close to the opportunities and the things that you dream of. It is that sort of faith. It is that degree of determination. So, no matter how large your success grows, and I've experienced this firsthand, no matter how large your success grows, there's always going to be setbacks that are equivalent to the degree of success that you've experienced. So those setbacks will feel monumental. I have made experiences that made me feel like my career is over. That's it for me. Like I thought this was my golden ticket, and now I feel like I just ruined the whole thing. It's not like with growing success, the hurdles become smaller or easier to overcome. You just become more equipped to handle them when they come along. But that is the foundation that it needs. And you can learn how to do that for sure. Another thing that I wrote down just entertainment. There's been so many moments in my career where I had to swallow my ego in terms of I never thought I would have to do certain types of things in order to take the next step in my career. And that's tough to overcome as well, because I think we all have this certain type of picture in our head of like what it will look like when we walk the path of success towards our dream life. And it always is more glamorous and probably more dignified than what the reality will look like. No matter how glamorous your career gets, no matter how shiny it might look to some people, no matter how easy it might appear every once in a while. And I'm talking to Instagram here right now because we all know that Instagram is literally like the God complex of our like visual self, which is so far removed from what the reality really looks like. Like literally take it from me. There's been so many things where I had a dream and a vision of what I wanted to be part of my career. And I knew that I was capable of it, but the way to get there looked so scary and every once in a while so embarrassing and so uncertain. And I wanted to quit every single day. But when I think of that metaphor that I just told you guys about, I knew that that was the fastest way of setting myself up to not even give that vision a fair chance of what I wanted. So with certain things at this point, I really do have to just turn my brain off and do it without evaluating it, without putting any sort of judgment on it. And I'm not talking about like a day in my week. I'm talking about months, sometimes even, a full year of doing something that I'm not yet sure about. And I do it anyways, because I know that at the end of the road, there is a vision that I can identify myself with, that I can see myself in, and that I can feel myself experiencing when I think about it. So I know I'm capable of it. So I owe it to that vision of myself to not doubt it so hard that it will make me quit along the way. That is what determination looks like. And that is what it takes to create your dream career for yourself, to create your dream life. Because trust me when I say it's not easy, and it won't be easy, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. The question is, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want it? And every once in a while, it's helpful to think about, well, what would I lose? What would it cost me if I let my fears and my doubts get the better of me? Because on a smaller scale of a week or of a month, that might not seem so dramatic, but if you blow it into proportion of, if I choose to let my fears or my doubts or my ego or my insecurities determine what I do with my energy, with the short hours I have in every single day, if I blow that into the proportions of a year from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, what will it cost me to play into those fears. And the answer to that question needs to be so scary that moving out of your comfort zone becomes sort of the smaller of two evils. Because if I were to let the doubts and sort of the insecurity or the hesitation or the doubts get the better of me, then this vision that I have, that I know I'm capable of, and that feels so good when I envision myself living it, would it doesn't even stand a chance of being a reality. That's fucking terrifying, because my dreams are so beautiful and they're so large and they're so fulfilling and so they feel so authentic in my heart. If it was, and these visions can shift too, you know, down the line, you might discover that actually it might look a little bit different than it did for you 2 years ago. But that is the foundation of getting anywhere. I know I hope this is inspiring you guys. I hope that this is resonating with you guys in a sense. I know I can see you guys saying, thank you for the advice, knowing what you're passionate about, but not being able to take the first step. I relate to that as well. The first step is always the hardest. The first couple of steps are always going to be the toughest because you don't yet know how to even walk that walk. And I can relate to this too. I definitely have that sort of like first step anxiety, or that sort of like creative block, or that sort of, oh God, now I got to jump in the deep end. And for me, it also oftentimes has to do with letting people like observe me potentially try and fail at something, or make a fool of myself along the way, or be judged for the way that I'm trying to figure something out for myself, because it probably looks clumsy in the beginning. It probably doesn't look perfect. But perfectionism is just tricking us into thinking that if we only do something perfect enough, then we're safe from getting judged about it. But guess what? There's so many people that hate nothing more than perfection. And they're going to look at it and they're going to be like, that's so perfect, I hate it. So it really is a false friend that, you know, that tricks us into thinking that we somehow have control over what other people think about us. And the longer I've you know, worked at building my dream career, the more I've gotten to a point where I sort of think, let them judge me, let them have an opinion about what I'm doing, because I am no longer willing to sacrifice what is the most important to me about my life, which is my life and the way that I want to live it and the way that I want to spend so many hours of every single week of the rest of my life working at this career. Like, this is what I'm dedicating my life to. That is more important to me than the people that might judge me for it. But it's so important to recognize that if you are judging other people for trying something, then that's probably what also is keeping you from doing things that you then think that others will judge you for. Because if I judge others for trying something and potentially failing at it, or potentially, you know, letting people watch them try something and judge them for it, then I'm not going to allow myself the same sort of freedom, because if I were that person, then I would be judging myself for it too, you know? So another comment, OMG, self-sabotage is a form of lack of self-love. So true. Best coach ever, really. Oh, thank you. All right, guys. I know this was a little bit of a different Rich Artist Friday. It was important for me to talk to you guys about it because it is so important that you guys exist. It's so important that you guys are doing what you're doing. It really does matter. It makes a difference, and it's so important. And not every one of you guys will end up where you think you might end up right now. I might not either too, but I think what's more important is to gift yourself faith in that the things that you dream of, that they feel so important and they feel so intense and you feel them so deeply for a reason. And that I want to wrap this up with something powerful, that I think what you feel in your heart, what really truly makes you feel something when you envision it, is powerful. And it's worth putting your faith into, because it is an indicator of who you are at your core. It is an indicator at why you're here and what you can contribute to our presence on this earth. Because when you think about it, our life is very, very short, and we forget that all the time. You know, we think that we're going to live forever, especially if you're young. You're never really confronted with, oh yeah, our time on this earth is very, very limited. And that, I'm not saying that to be morbid. I think that's one of the biggest gifts, is when we can remind ourselves that our time here is limited, that the things that seem scary or the risks that we might know that are worth taking don't seem that large anymore in comparison. Um, so I'll leave you guys with that. And I hope that this inspired you and maybe gave you a little bit of a push for the next coming year. If you want your portfolio reviewed by me, then slide into my DMs and grab a ticket on my Eventbrite. I'm going to do a little raffle, and I'm going to choose 2 people to live review either like a PDF or like your website if you want me to take a look at your layouts. Remember, you will one day die. Tough but true. Exactly. So I hope that's an okay note to leave you guys on. Thank you for all of your feedback. Thank you for saying hi to me. Thank you for showing up each week. And if you guys want to do me a favor for the end of this year, as we're wrapping up, like 40 weeks of Rich Artist Fridays, that one photography friend that I know you guys all have, send them a link to this and invite them to tune in on Fridays, because we don't gatekeep here. This is for everybody, because when one of us wins, we all do. We all know that there is enough space for us at the top at this point. You know, content creation is in more demand than it has ever been before. So let's share our knowledge and our experience with one another, because it does feel lonely to do this every once in a while. You know, it does feel tough to feel like you're the only person that's pushing for your dreams. But guess what? There's so many of us that all do this parallel to one another. So let's do it together every once in a while. That's why we come together every Friday. And thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing this space with me. And I will see you guys next week for the last Rich Artist Friday of 2023 with 2 portfolio reviews from you guys. So I love you guys so, so much. Thank you for being so warm. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for these sincere and inspiring words. Thank you so much, Allison. And Soul says, long live Rich Artist Fridays. Woo! All right, I love you guys so much. Mwah.